What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum and happy Found Footage Friday. We are back talking found footage on a Friday with me and my co host, Mike and Serial.
Hey viewers, happy Found Footage Friday. Hoping you have a fantastic one and hope it's even better now that you're listening to us.
Brilliant. We have been doing more together, so it doesn't feel as long.
Yeah,
Because we just did a watch along live, and then the next week we had like our horror hangout, and then so that's fun.
yeah, and then we talk almost every day, so
Every
that's why I'm
day.
like it's getting to become like where before I was like, hey, it's been a while since I've seen you, and now I'm just like, I saw you again.
I know. It's great. And the lives have been so fun. And we just had somebody on the channel for the first time with the last one. We had Mika from Cinematic Nightmares, and it's been really cool the way things have been going. And I was just talking about how much fun I was having with my partner earlier today. Actually, we were just talking about that. So, and I hope to keep that positivity going as we talk about today's movie.
We'll see.
We'll see. So I think most people by now are familiar with the fact that, when we do typically bulk record, we split this up a little bit different, but either way, it's usually one movie, you pick one movie, and then one and one till end, and then we each have our opportunities to talk about films that we want to talk about. And so the one that we're talking about is today was one that you that you specifically
Yes.
wanted to cover, and it's the 2019 horror comedy 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot.
Yes.
This comes up as a couple of things. Did you know this? The other thing it came up as the Vice Guide to Bigfoot.
I have not seen anything other than the
Okay.
15
Yeah,
things.
that's most of what it is, but it was just weird that it just came up. It's a very super short and sweet synopsis. The documentary team goes in search of the legendary monster, Bigfoot. Um, And so, unspoiled, we'll keep the format. So give your unspoiled thoughts and then I'll dive into mine.
So, my unspoiled thoughts are I absolutely adored this
God.
movie. I think we talked off screen a little bit that this is
Yeah.
a little bit frat bro-y type
Very
of
bro.
humor.
Very
Uh,
bro. Yeah.
I don't find it as bro-y as someone else might. However, I do find this hilarious. It is very bro-ish to an extent. There are some gags that are very straight guy humor.
Yeah.
But what I really do love about this
Mhm.
movie is I really like, in not the best way, but the main character was captivating to me. He's very like reserved. He feels entitled to certain things, and he feels very not happy with where his current state of his job is.
Right.
um, and I have related to him in the past, but as well as this movie is about Bigfoot, and it just goes into a very unique idea for me regarding the Bigfoot movies. It is not your standard. I have started to see movies like this pop up a little bit more, but given that this was 2019, we said,
Yeah.
one of the first ones that I think of that go in the route that it goes,
Hmm.
and more in spoiler thoughts. But yeah, I really liked this movie. I had a great time. I was never bored. And then when it gets to where it needs to get to, I am really happy with it.
Yeah. I really hate, I did not like this one. And here's, okay. Hmm. You know what I think is probably hurting it? Because we just watched another movie very similar in initial concept, and it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And so going
Okay.
into this one, it was hard because that was my standard, was the other movie. And this humor did not land for me at all. And this is like this is going to sound like such a, I don't even know how it's going to sound honestly, but it just is what it is. But the thing is, I really I really felt like it was making fun of Bigfoot enthusiast and cryptozoology, which I actually take very seriously. And I've met several cryptozoologists. They're some of the most fascinating people. They have so it's like it's just really, really interesting things to say. I'm a big fan of cryptids. Whether I believe in them or not is irrelevant. I think they're cool. I love learning about them and things and all the theories about why we've seen them and haven't seen them and how it can be here and over there and all these things. And so it felt like it was making fun of that, and I didn't
Okay.
find the humor in that, I found it insulting, and so
Okay.
I think that that was one of like, I would like to see a movie about someone who is treated with respect and is allowed the opportunity to discuss these things without being made fun of or looks off camera like what is this guy talking about, because there are people that really do put a lot into this type of research, and so anyway, so I struggled with that. Now the thing that I think is kind of actually probably the most frustrating is actually the thing I did like, which was the last like 3 minutes of the movie. um all the stuff in between, I was like, "Okay, okay," like, trying to just, like and then it starts out somewhere totally different, and I was like, "What is going on with this movie?" So, definitely not my cup of tea, and like I said, I think my biggest thing that wrecked the humor for me is I felt like it was a jab at Bigfoot enthusiasts and people who study that stuff for a living, and I don't like that. That didn't sit right with me.
Okay. I have not a rebuttal, but I have like where you're going with that. I do have my thought on that in the spoiler thoughts because I
Okay.
think they did, or the way I took it was
Mhm.
a particular way.
Okay, alright. Well, what do you rate this out of 10 tapes?
Out of 10 tapes, I'm going to give this a strong 7.5 tapes.
7.5. What
Yeah,
did you
I
give Found Footage, Patterson?
did we rate it?
Oh, we didn't rate it. We
I was
didn't
like,
review it, we just talked to the
yeah, we did
filmmaker.
an interview.
Never mind, you can tell me off camera, I forgot. We've been talking about that one for weeks at this point, so I just completely forgot. You're right, we didn't do a review. We all we did for that one so far was the filmmaker interview,
Yeah.
which was a blast. You should go watch it if you haven't. There's no spoilers about the movie or anything. It's very good. Um, okay, so 7.5. Okay, I'm gonna go. This is tough. I'm gonna give it. I'll go 3.
I had 2.5 for you. I thought you were going to
It
give it a
gets
2.5.
it gets a 3 because of the ending. Because if they had stuck to that, this would have been a in my for Angel's liking, for my specific taste, way, way cool. And you already know comedy. I'm very open about this. Horror comedy stuff is very hard to sell. And this was all comedy. There was no horror in this until the last 30 seconds of the movie. And so that is one of those things where I'm like, nope, I need it to be more on the other side of things. So I'll stick with it. I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3 out of 10 tapes.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. Uh, you know, it's okay. All right, what tell me your perspective on the what I was complaining about.
Okay, so obviously we know this is a horror comedy, almost to the point, and I know I see where you are coming from, and I do see why. I do see some people seeing it as a jab more than what I see it as a
Okay.
parody.
Okay.
I am seeing it from they needed to have them look a little bit more outlandish and goofy
Mhm.
because of who the main character was. Because he's a stick in the mud. He doesn't believe this at all. He is very much, we're seeing from his perspective of how he views these uh, people who believe in cryptids and Bigfoot. And so he
Yeah.
sees it
Yeah.
from the like, they're crazy kind of way. But I think when we finally get to what we get to, it shows that, oh, they're not ridiculous. Um,
Yeah.
that's the way I
This is
interpreted it. But again, there is no right or wrong way to interpret this,
yeah,
but
no, I
it's
think
gonna hit for some people in the
yeah.
same way, and then for some people, they're gonna see the parody of it. Uh,
Mhm.
but for me, and because it's hard to like, you kind of got to hop around when you're starting from here to there, because there is a huge twist in the late middle of this movie.
Is it the
So
crime stuff?
yes, which I loved that. I love when they take me out of what it's supposed to be or what we
I
think it's
normally do too.
gonna be. Um, so
Yeah.
I really did. I did not see the cartel coming.
Well, yeah. Because
Um,
there's no logical path to that as far as what you see or like there's no discussion, there's no like it just is there like all of a sudden.
so viewers were on the hunt for Bigfoot. We
Yeah.
get to a point where the main character is fed up with his guide and his
And his
partner and all
producer.
of this,
Yeah.
and they're lost in the woods, and basically they end up being trapped by a drug cartel,
Yep.
and that is who they are now. What's the word? All the deaths that they thought were caused by Bigfoot, they are finding out are coming from this drug cartel.
Yeah. And what they're seeing and hearing at night is actually them also. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
nice, fun little twist for me. And then I love it because then they twist us again.
Yeah, this was when the movie was at least something I found like this was my positive was then Bigfoot comes out like he's real, and this is after the guy's like the main guy's like devastated. He's like, man, like he doesn't even care about the cartel. He's just like so bummed, and then it happens, and then he's like, this part did make me laugh. He was like, this was probably the only time I laughed the whole movie, but it was the part where he was like, Bigfoot doesn't like guns. I did think that was kind of funny
I
because
thought
he's
that
like,
was,
like Bigfoot's an anti-gun advocate, chilling
yeah.
in the woods.
And
I
I
thought
love it
that was
because
funny.
it was the long run joke. Because, like,
Yes.
in the beginning of the movie, we're finding out from this cryptid enthusiast, like,
Hmm.
some of this, and again, because they are portraying him as a little ridiculous,
Yep.
and he's giving you that dry comedy of like, no,
Yeah.
because Bigfoot's not, he doesn't like guns. He's anti gun. And
Hmm.
it's a funny little quip in the beginning, but it's that
The turns.
long turn joke that just
Hmm.
lands because Bigfoot is attacking the cartel and not them. And why? Because they
Because they
don't
have
have
guns.
guns and
Yeah.
Bigfoot hates guns. I loved that realization.
Yeah.
One, the joke was funny to me, but two, for that character, I love that he got his validation
Yeah.
for the fact that Bigfoot is real and
Yeah.
that Bigfoot doesn't like guns. So he's been right the whole time.
Yeah, I wish he had gotten his validation about halfway through. So the movie's runtime is an hour 23. You have an hour and 18 minutes of no validation and just mockery. And I think for me, that's why it didn't redeem all of that is because it took too long to
Okay.
get to the part where they're like, you know what? Oh, okay. And I think like, and what's true is the producer, the friend, is a lot more on board with things than the main guy, the interviewee guy. I don't
Yeah.
remember any of their names, but like he's very diva. He's being an asshole. He's like cutting people down and he's being whatever. And the producer, there's times where he's kind of like, what the fuck? But there's other times where he's like, no, man, like you need to take this project seriously. Like you need to and he's like, "You're just gonna blow this off. You're just gonna ditch me like you always do." And so there's like some of that too. And those are kind of the reasons that I think I'm able to even give it a 3 is just because there's some stuff there. But I think if they had met that stuff earlier on, then it would have redeemed a lot more of the making fun of. But I just like I don't know, like I wasn't something I expected to be sensitive to. I'm not a cryptozoologist. I don't even know that I believe in all the cryptids that
Yeah.
supposedly exist. I just like to talk about the idea that they could be real. And Bigfoot's like, the OG cryptid. So it's like one of those things, at least the first one caught on camera. And so it was just one of those things where I just could not get past it. It wasn't something, like I said, I expected. And I really think it hurts that I waited until after I saw that other movie, because that one is not meant to be, it's not the same,
Yeah.
but but it
But
is and it isn't. So
that's
it's like,
why I was so surprised that you felt the way you did about this one, because at first,
because I love the other one so much.
when I first pitched this movie, obviously, like, I'm like, it is Bigfoot, so that might be on her side. I was like, but it's very comedy forward. So I was like, I'm curious to see where this would
Yeah.
land for you.
Yeah.
And then when I saw or when you ended up liking the found footage, the
Patterson.
making of the Patterson Project, I was like, oh, okay. Because remember, I didn't think you were going to like that
You
one.
did not think I was gonna like
And
that
you
one.
really enjoyed that
I
one.
really liked that one,
So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, Angel's going to like this
Oh,
movie because
no.
I
And I
viewed
told
it.
I told my partner, I was like, "I hate it because I feel like I'm gonna go on and just be like, I fucking hate this movie that Mike loves," but it's gonna be it's and I know we talk about this all the time about how different we are and we're able to have these
Yeah.
conversations, but it's like I don't like we talked about even, before we started recording, we talked about like not becoming this place where we hate every single thing that comes out. And I don't think we're anywhere near
Yeah.
that because we're very varied in our opinions and sometimes we meet in the middle and it's fine. But it's like I just always feel bad because I don't enjoy not liking things. It's not fun for me. And so like, when we see like and all these movies are amped up and I go to watch them and I'm like, it's not fun. That's not a fun experience for me. So I hate that I couldn't like it. And I did try. I watched the whole thing. I didn't
Well,
stop. I didn't
and
skip.
this,
I just tried to, kind of soak it in and
and
let
that's
me
the
sit
thing
down.
is that's all you can really do. We've mentioned this
Yeah.
plenty of times on the show, throughout the entire longevity of this show, is that
Yeah.
when it comes to found footage, and we still, just because there are a lot that we will say don't work for us, we are still such large found footage
Yeah.
fans
Yeah.
because we will go through as much as possible, and we do care about the ones, even the ones that we don't like. There have been
Yeah.
plenty of times where we can find that positivity. I
Yeah.
always bring back, we do have several ones that we do meet in the middle or we're
Yeah.
very high on. And then we have some that we've both been pretty low on. And for the majority, we are somewhere we do have a good base of a difference in what we
Yeah.
enjoy. But
Yeah.
what I do love, and I said, honestly, I feel like those have kind of made the best episodes where we
Yeah.
are so far apart because
Yeah.
we do get to look and dissect these movies far more differently than I love this movie. Me too. This
No,
is what I
sure.
like. Because
Yeah.
again, I did, and you said for yourself, like you didn't expect this. I was not expecting for you to say like that you found this movie that it was taking jabs more than it was being a parody because I
Right.
saw it differently.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah.
is nice to see someone else's different perspective because I have seen some letterbox ratings and I see some lower scores and maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like, and again, this movie, I can easily tell that this movie's not going to be for everybody, but I also
Yeah.
know that this movie is going to have the people who love it because that's why I did want to pick this one when I first watched it because I did see a lot of people go, if you like Bigfoot movies, this is one you need to watch. So I'm like, I do love Bigfoot movies. I want something different because, and again, Bigfoot, there are iconic movies, whether you like them or not. There are the main ones that everyone knows.
Yep.
And what I love is that they're polar opposite. Like, obviously, we have the action pack exists,
Yep.
which is throwing everything in there but the kitchen sink kind of attitude.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
on the flip side, you have Willow
Willow
Creek, which is
Creek.
very slow
Nothing happens.
burn,
Yep.
build
Until the
tension.
very end. Yeah.
So they're polar opposites, and then you have the stuff in the middle. And a lot of the stuff in the middle isn't always the strongest when it comes to Bigfoot.
Sure.
So for
Or
me,
snow Bigfoot because Mike does not want to see your garage in your television.
and funny enough, that was the movie that I instantly thought of when we were talking about like about the
in the
differences of what we like and why it makes
yeah.
for a good episode. Because again, and there's the thing too, Himalaya, yes, I rated it low. However, it didn't mean that I disliked the movie. It's just
I
there
loved
were
that one.
things that I could not get past.
And
And
I'm
same,
sitting here like, I don't even remember what part you're talking. I'm like, I didn't notice that. I was so, I don't know,
and
but it's kind of part of the whole thing is like, that's why it's good to go into venture into these movies that maybe you wouldn't watch otherwise, right? Because that's what I think is another really cool thing about our dynamic is when we're talking found footage is, you bring to the table movies that I've either not heard of or wouldn't give a chance.
yeah,
And then and out of all of them, I think only one or two have been movies where I was just, like, really let down or really just wasn't feeling it. It really hasn't been that many. And so that's the cool part too, because I didn't even know this was a movie. I'd never even heard of this. And it's what, we're in 2020, it's like 6 years old.
yeah.
So,
And then considering
where's
that
it
you're such a
streaming?
Bigfoot fan, because I will say you do know a lot of the Bigfoot found footage films. So that's why I was
Yeah.
like, when
Good,
you said you
bad,
didn't
otherwise, yeah.
when you said you didn't know this one, I'm like, okay, then we definitely got to do this one because if she does not know this one, then let's
Yeah,
get
and
into it.
I have to say, I do feel like Bigfoot would be anti-gun. He's probably hunted a lot, right? So that made sense. I was on board with the last couple minutes of this, really, I was. And I have to give the because I know and I've heard from filmmakers just how expensive those suits and things are and how hard they are to make work. It's the suit looked pretty good. Like
I,
I didn't think it looked. Let me put it this way. Given the rest of the movie, I certainly would not have expected it to look as good as it did. And they were very smart. A lot of shadows, very
mhm,
dark. But I think that works. That makes sense because I mean, when you're talking low budget, you can only do so much anyway, right? Or talking indie filmmaking. So I did think the suit. So that's my positive. My positives were I love that the ending that Bigfoot was real. I did appreciate that.
yeah,
I don't want fake Bigfoots in my Bigfoot movies, or werewolves. Looking at you, Wolf of Snow Hollow. Um, I don't want so I think that was cool. The suit looked really, really good. The gore was really good. Like the gun, the bullet wounds, and I thought all that looked really good. I have zero complaints about the acting, the way in which it was filmed. I think that the dynamic between the producer and the main and the face of the show, I thought was fine. I didn't have a problem with the writing. The all of that, those are all my positives. This was comedy, comedy, comedy. And it just was not one, I didn't I don't really like that with my horror movies, but also it wasn't my kind of comedy.
yeah.
And then like I said, I just felt like it was more of a jab than like you said, a parody. But I think, I'm a little harder on those anyway. I don't really like things that make fun of things I like, even if it's meant in good spirits. It always just
Yeah.
kind of like rubs me the wrong way. But those were my positives, though. I did think the suit looked good. I loved that Bigfoot was real. The acting was fine. I loved like the concept was solid. I didn't have a problem with any of those things.
And I definitely think if you are, and again, maybe this isn't completely our audience, but audience, if this does fit for you, if we do have the broy humor, super bad, accepted type humor people out there, you may love this movie because
Yeah,
I will say, and I can definitely see this not being like your comedy style,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but for me, I actually the comedy that we got was well done for the type of comedy that it was because I did find myself laughing at a lot of parts because it is comedy forward and
yeah.
like there was one part and if it's not your cup of tea it's definitely not going to be your cup of tea but like when we get to the cartel and the goofy like hillbilly guy who's taking their camera and he's showing off his
Yeah.
the whole compound and nobody really respects him. I started laughing when we got to the point where they're threatening them out in the woods and then it turns into where he's like, "We're not doing deliverance, right?" I started
Oh, he's
cracking
like,
up
you know
with
what they
the
do in that movie? He's like, "Do you have something you need to tell me?" Or, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I know what you're
like
talking about."
obviously and again, we know what type of humor that is and it can land and it could For some people, it could come
Yeah.
off offensive. I found the humor in it. For me, I thought that was a fun little part to it. Um, yeah, I think the comedy shined in this. I do love because I wasn't once we got to the cartel, I was like, I still liked this movie, but it did get amped up even higher. Like, I think if they didn't add Bigfoot being real, this is a solid 6.5.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they went the route of twist on twist, like we're gonna veer off
You're gonna
from
think it's
Bigfoot,
nothing, yeah, and then
and
to
then all of
find
a
out,
sudden
oh,
you're like Bigfoot, and now
yeah,
I'm back into the Bigfoot movie. Because,
yeah.
like you said, here's the thing. I feel like this movie would have been very low for you if there was no Bigfoot.
Have you seen Wolf of Snow Hollow? It just occurred to me that I ruined that movie. Have you seen it? Okay, so you know it's a guy in a suit. Well, look, there's a spoiler banner, so that gets me out of being in trouble. That listen, what pissed does not cover it. The level of anger I felt, do not give me a shark movie with no shark, a werewolf movie with no werewolves, and a Bigfoot movie with no Bigfoot. I'm not interested. I'm gonna be pissed.
I
But
like it if it's done well to an extent. Like this one for me still would have been good for me, but I'm
yeah, but you
happy.
liked the comedy though, and
Yeah.
the comedy was just
But
very
like I
over.
feel like if they took this in a scary like thriller direction where it was the cartel, because I have seen other movies where they do go into this is
Oh,
cartel territory and it's
mhm,
a darker, not comedy movie.
mhm,
And I love that. And I think I would have liked it this way, but I'm
mhm.
happy that it went comedic and I'm so happy we tied back into Bigfoot. Because I think that
Yeah,
just
I
really
agree.
landed the plane for me.
I no, I agree with that, and that again, that's why I was able to give it a 3, genuinely, because otherwise it would have been even harder to talk about.
I think this
This
we might not have made this episode had it not been Bigfoot.
Yeah, but this is streaming. It's on everything. It's like Tubi. I watched it on Amazon because they have less interruptions than Tubi does. Tubi's really bad about that. No shade. It's a lot. It makes like a 2-hour movie like a 6-hour thing. So you can stream this if you're at this point. I got rid of our little thing, and you can stream it and watch it for yourself. If you have seen this, please let us know where you are with it in the comments.
And if
We
you
would
have
love
any
to
other
know.
Bigfoot recommendations,
Hit us
put
up
them down.
in the comments. Yes, please, 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 please. Um, as I tell you, I know Mike's so tired of hearing me say this. Probably cryptids are made for found footage. We need more solid. I want somebody with a decent budget that can pull off like a Loch Ness monster found footage. That would be expensive because it would be in the water. But how cool would that be?
I think that would be awesome. Have you seen the Loch Ness found
I
footage
I gotta
film?
go. I gotta go. We can't talk about that is forbidden. We're not talking about that weird yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Sounds
Yes,
good.
to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, I figured that was
I think I
coming.
can even blame Tasha for that because I think she hadn't seen it or maybe I can't remember, but she was like, "Oh, if I saw this and maybe it might be something you want to check out." And so it's her fault I sat through it. I don't think I finished it.
And I absolutely loved it.
No, you did not.
Incident at Loch Ness, I think that's
At
the one I
last,
like.
yeah. Incident, yeah. I want a good
But
one.
but I
Good,
do agree with
serious,
you.
scary, cryptid found footage. A good, God help me, a good Mothman found footage for the love of God. There's 60 million found footage Mothman movies and not a single I would please somebody. Somebody,
Yeah, I
please.
do agree with you. Yes, cryptids are made for found footage. Um, and there's so many, and I want to see people dive into lesser known cryptids. I want to learn about
Yeah,
cryptids through found footage.
yeah. I think that would be just a dream, honestly. Cause yeah, please, somebody, we know all these filmmakers, please, somebody do it, please. We need it. All right. Well, Those are very mixed thoughts on 15 things you didn't know about Bigfoot. Again, it's streaming on Tubi, I believe, and Amazon for sure. Those two. I think it's also on maybe Pluto. It's on one of the other one. Plex. Plex. It is
Yeah,
on
I was
Plex.
like, I'm
Uh,
pretty sure it's on Plex.
it's on Plex, so you can watch it for free with ads. Amazon, I think, is the better option for the ads. There just weren't that many. So anyway, but yeah, if you've seen this, please let us know. And if you know of any other cryptid based found footage, definitely hit us up because I'm down. Always down to watch found footage that's cryptid based. As always, Mike's external social media links are in the description for this episode as well. We are a little, by the time this episode goes out, we'll be a little over halfway through nominations for the Sacred Crypt Awards. So I'll make sure to put that link as well. There are three or groupings. So we've got content creators, books and authors, and filmmakers and movies. So go nominate people, and that there's tons of categories. You do not have to fill out the whole thing. If you don't read books but you love movies, totally fine. It's not required that you fill out every single one. I did that on purpose.
And
But
indie, please.
indie, yes, it
Indie.
has to be people that we can actually send the award to.
As much as we love sinners on this channel, they are not gonna answer our call,
They
okay?
are not. They don't care about us or our little award show. So please keep it indie. Keep it
I
close to the
saw that
heart.
and I was like, I love it, but yeah, that's
Yes. So it can't be anything like that. It has to be people we can actually get in contact with and send the award trophy packages to. So keep that in mind. Again, that link will be in the description as well. By the time this is out, we'll have about a week or so left. So anyway, cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Found Footage Fridays. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and listening to me complain about things. We hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy your week coming up, and Mike and I will see you next Friday.